Well, hello everybody and welcome. Happy Thursday. This is Spirited Radio and I'm Lisa Marie, psychic and medium. I originally wanted to talk about holiday stress today, but instead I think I'm going to talk about my health journey and how that links to my spiritual journey, primarily because I have been very sick for the last 2 weeks with all sorts of sinus infection and ear infection and mold and fungus and all sorts of things that hit me all at once. And so I thought, well, maybe I should share my story and let you know you can get through just about anything and, let you know that there's hope if you're struggling with your health. And so my journey began over a decade ago with the loss of a baby, and at that time I made the decision to start doing card readings for people other than my family and friends. I had been reading tarot cards since I was a teenager and had really, seen people who were passed away and had scary things happen to me when I was a kid, and so I knew I had psychic abilities. And I was typically accurate when I read family and friends with the cards, but I had never read other people. And so in 2006, I started doing that. And in reading for other people, you can't ignore the messages. And day in and day out, all of these readings I was giving, the messages were clear that you need to be healthy, you need to be balanced, you need to have healthy relationships, and you need to take care of yourself. And it really began a journey that's so epic, I don't even know how to explain it. You might have seen my picture. I've lost over 100 pounds in these 10 years, but those 100 pounds, physical pounds, aren't anything compared to the amount of baggage that I've lost in these 10 years. 10 years ago, I was married to an alcoholic. I had a very intense work schedule. I was overweight. I was unhealthy. And for the most part, I thought, you don't notice it when you're in it, right? You think it's okay. Like you think, you have plenty of energy and you're doing things. But at 30 years old, I was having to sleep a lot. I wasn't able to exercise. I wasn't able to do the things that probably a normal 30-year-old could do. And so with that, the changes started coming. And the first big change that came, I started meditating all the time. I was working full-time as a psychic and medium. And I was meditating consistently every single day for multiple hours. So in doing that, when you do a lot of meditation, even if you don't realize it, because it can be pretty subtle, with all of those meditations starts to come these insights. You start to figure things out. And I realized, gosh, I hadn't had a menstrual cycle in a year and a half. Well, that was kind of weird. And I thought, wow, I'm pretty overweight. I feel good. I thought I looked pretty good. I probably did for my weight, but I was like, this probably isn't right. And, I was sick all the time. I had pneumonia a lot, chronic ear infections, all sorts of stuff. And so, the first big change came in Black Friday of 2008. I left my marriage. It was unhealthy. It was probably both of our faults, so I don't have any anger towards him or anything, but, it was done. And so I left and went on my own. And in doing that, my diet and my exercise regimen changed because the only person I had to focus on was myself. And so I lost about 30 pounds in about 6 months just from doing that, And in the process, I was continuing to develop my trance meditation techniques and really trying to get deeper and deeper and deeper. And within all of this came 100 lessons that I don't even have time in an hour to tell, but I ended up taking a trip to California to see the Dalai Lama speak, and it was pretty life-changing for a lot of reasons. It was actually pretty challenging, and anybody who has had experience seeing, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, there's kind of a I don't know if you want to say a joke, but his energy, his Shakti is so powerful that oftentimes it can be very jarring and intense in a really good way, but it also wakes you up, you know? So that trip to see him speak for the first time was kind of a wake-up call for me in a lot of ways, not just with my health and what I really noticed about my physical ability to get around was challenged. And at 30 years old, I thought this shouldn't be the case. But I also had some new awareness and new insight into maybe how much I'm not paying attention to the people around me. You know, I had some self-awareness come to the surface with that. And so after that trip to the Dalai Lama, I really wanted to learn more about Buddhism. I wanted to learn more about His Holiness. I wanted to learn more about myself, because again, I still didn't know very much about myself. And in 2010, I got incredibly ill, and I went to multiple doctors. I went to multiple emergency rooms with very bizarre symptoms. I was extremely toxic. I could barely eat. I couldn't figure out what was going on. And this went on and on for about 4 or 5 months, and I was desperate and scared, and I was alone, and really didn't know what to do. And at the time, I was reading clients, and that was too much. Energetically, I was completely depleted. So I was the epitome of the person who does not take care of themselves and takes care of everybody else. My whole focus was on everything else but myself. And while that sounds really like selfless, it's actually not. I was actually completely distracting myself from me and from my issues and from what I needed to deal with. And so with that, what happened is I ended up nearly dying. I crawled on my hands and knees into my mom's house, projectile vomiting, lost vision in my right eye, had no idea what the heck was going on with me at all. I'd been sick for almost 3 or 4 months at that time, and really was ready to just die. I was pretty done. And again, this is about, I think this is 2011 at this point. It started the end of 2010 and went into 2011. Well, what unfolded from there is a chain of events that can only be described as serendipitous and universally guided, because I was guided to an incredible functional medicine doctor, Dr. Jill Carnahan, who's amazing. I was led to her. I was able to pick myself back up, and through dietary management and a lot of testing, I found out I had 3 major parasites that were attacking my body. And in addition, I had 22 food allergies, including wheat and dairy, not to mention some immune system deficiencies. And so it took a full year of recovery. And so when you think about how you lose weight, this wasn't a fun way to do it. I dropped another 50 pounds in that time frame. So I went from 247 pounds in 2008 to 165 pounds at the end of 2011. And that came because I had to go through a very intense detox. I had to go off of sugar and caffeine completely, and for a period of time, in order to kill parasites, you have to eliminate all sugars, even brown rice I couldn't have. So I couldn't even have like rice or anything at all. It was just meat and vegetables for like days and days and days and days and days. And what came from that process was powerful, because what I realized was my whole life focus became me taking care of myself. I had to do nothing but take supplements and herbs to kill these bugs and to kill the yeast inside of me, because I had candida overgrowth as well, and eat differently because I had food allergies. I had to actually ask. It was the hardest thing to go to a restaurant and ask for specific things to be removed from my plate. Like, imagine what that means to somebody to say you have to have boundaries and stand up for yourself, when I had no boundaries. I ate whatever, I did whatever, and it was so awkward just to order food. And I think it makes me laugh, because I think, gosh, like, was I really in that kind of mental state that I couldn't even protect myself at a restaurant without feeling guilty about it? Like, the codependent aspects of that are pretty intense and pretty amazing when you think about it. I mean, I learned a lot through this process, and so much so that, again, I can't talk about it for an entire hour, but I can certainly talk about it right now and share some of these things, and I'm sure I can share more stories as time goes on. So after that, I went through this process of having to eat very clean organic foods, having to manage my diet, and having to manage detox, which includes physical exercise, saunas. You're constantly having to pull toxins out of your body. So I really went into 2012 feeling pretty dang good about myself. I had cleared a lot of stuff. And the other thing that happened in this process is I worked as a volunteer for the Dalai Lama's organization in Washington, D.C. for the Kala Chakra. And I was just well enough to go to that. And I really felt like it was poignant that I had to do this complete clearing and detox before I could go. I thought that was pretty powerful and interesting as well. So there was all these layers within my health journey. And so for a couple of years, I was pretty good. Like, I kept that weight off because I had to change my whole diet. I've never had wheat or dairy since then. I mean, I've been pretty clean with my food. I've kept up on my exercise. I tried running. I'm definitely not a runner, but I was proud of myself. I ran the Boulder. I did some marathons. Like, I'd never done anything like that before, so it was cool to do that. It's not probably something I'm passionate about. I don't think. I like my walk in nature where I can meditate and be quiet. But, I did do those things and did some hiking, and really just, it opened me up. And from a spiritual perspective, it really opened me up because I had to face death. There were multiple times in that 6-month time frame, from the end of 2010 to April of 2011, where I was either losing vision, didn't know what was going on with my brain, so sick and toxic I couldn't eat. I got so jaundiced because one of the parasites was like eating my liver. I got so jaundiced I had turned yellow, and it was possible my liver function wasn't going to come back. Multiple times by myself, no partner, no support. I had friends who supported me, family, of course, but like nobody lived in the area. I was stuck in my own shit. Pardon my language, but I was stuck in my own shit, and that was hard. And it's hard to be by yourself and to sit there by yourself and be stuck in your own crap, and there's nothing you can do about it. All you can do is go day by day, and the process of healing is so slow. It's subtle. It's every single day what you put in your body, what you're doing for yourself step by step by step by step by step to get from here to that healthy place. And so, going through that experience and coming out the other side, I really felt like I'd worked through some stuff. And I think I did, but I definitely didn't deal with all of it. And so, you can't run from your demons. And so what I tell people, all through all of this, I have read people. And I have amazing clients that I feel like are my friends and great people all over the world. And I read them and I give them their information, even if I'm, laying in my bed sick. I've done it, like, right or wrong, probably not right, by the way. I probably should be asleep. But anyway, I've done all these things and continue to help people because you help me, because every message I give to you is a message I'm getting to. It's not just the person that, is sitting there that's receiving the message. It's me as it's coming out of my mouth from spirit. I'm going, oof, man, I really need to listen to what they're saying because they're, basically smacking me on top of the head too. Usually if I read people all in one day, like if I have like 8 readings in a day, by the end of the day, it's pretty obvious what the message was because everybody probably has the same one. And so, life went on, right? I continued to read people. I was in the workforce. I worked in the fashion industry. So I worked in fashion and, I managed people and, helped people and really kept trying to stay on top of my health. But, we get back into a routine and we lose that awareness, right? Like, the biggest challenge, I think, of being spiritual, if you want to call it that, I mean, I don't even know how to define it, but, I think it's pretty easy to sit in a cave and become enlightened, I think. I think it's easy to say, oh, I'm going to take a hiatus and go off into the mountains and be by myself. And you can get present and you can think, but how do you get present when you are, in rush hour traffic, trying to get to work, you're sick, you're tired, you have 100 things to do? I mean, how do we become enlightened then? That's my mission in life. My mission is to figure out how we can be present every single day of every single moment, because our lives would be so much different. Our lives would be so much better if we could do that. They'd be so much better. And, I just don't even know how that happens, but I know that it can happen. And I've had moments of clarity and moments where I'm not aware. And so as I was healthy and doing things and feeling good, well, it's easy to forget that I almost died. It's easy to forget that I have, food allergies. It's easy to forget, all these things. And so over time, life goes on and I gained 15 pounds and I was in another toxic relationship and pretty upset, and I lost another baby. And when that happened, I was like, this is not right. Not only am I not right, my health is not right, but I'm repeating the exact same pattern I already repeated. Toxic relationship with an addict, sick, physically sick, having issues with my physical body. I wanted to be happy. I wanted to be in a healthy relationship. I wanted to be in a better place. I wanted to be physically, capable of having a normal life. And yet it wasn't happening. And so, I did another crazy thing. I'm a Scorpio, and so we do crazy things. And I just went and applied for jobs and got a job in Maui, Hawaii, which is insane. And I moved to Maui. Now, I'd been there before, so that's good. I knew what it was about. And again, it was another incredible serendipitous chain of events that took me to Maui. And Maui was incredible. And, my saying to myself is that Maui showed me my reflection. Maui truly showed me what I needed to truly work on, because when I got there, that statement of wherever you go, there you are, it's real. And when you're sitting on an island staring out into an ocean that never ends, and you're 100 million miles away from anybody that you know and from the city and all of that, guess what? There I was. And I even wrote in my journal, I said, I left Colorado to, heal and to get better, and I ended up packing my bags with all my baggage and brought it with me. Here I was sitting on the beach, and I was like, man, I'm here with all my stuff. All my shit is still here. I'm still running from something. And what am I running from? And that was when I truly came to terms with my issues. And I read an incredible book that I highly recommend called Facing Codependence by Pia Mellody. I was led to that book through Al-Anon. I did reach out to them because they're such a great program, and I also had great support behind me to be able to remove myself once and for all from toxic relationships with addicts, and to be able to be in a space where I'm not a codependent enabler. And when I read that book, it was so much bigger. It was so much bigger than dating somebody who does drugs or drinks. It's not even about that. It's about your issues and your insecurities and, you being unable to manage your own boundaries, to manage your own self, to take care of yourself. That's part of it. Choosing to not take care of yourself and to take care of everybody else is part of codependency. And pretty much everybody, I think, has some element of that, I think. But I think if you're struggling with toxic relationships, read the book Facing Codependency by Pia Mellody. She has a lot of great books. I recommend all of them, but that book is great. And there's a big workbook. You have to work the 12 steps, just like AA. It's the same 12-step process. You have to come to terms with what your part is in that, and not only what's happened to you, but what you've done to other people, or how you've impacted other people with your own behavior. And it was at that point that I wanted to stop running from my issues, and I wanted to really deal with them. I gained weight again, and that's definitely a red flag for me because I notice that if my fungus or candida or anything gets out of balance, I gain weight. Too much sugar, and it goes for everybody, right? Like too much sugar, you're going to gain weight, but it's definitely more negatively impactful to my health if I do that than maybe the average person. So I came back from Hawaii. I came back because I didn't need to be there anymore. I had figured out, it showed me what I needed to see. And so away I went back to Colorado, back into my practice. I decided to go back to school, which was a great experience too. And again, just doing my life. But I was having really weird health problems, like weird stuff. And this is where the mold starts to come in. And I didn't know about it until this last year. But I was having like neurological things go on, like where it felt like I almost had a heart attack, or my hand would shake, or, I was getting these ocular migraines. Like I was having these weird things go on that hadn't had happen before. And it started happening in Maui, and it continued when I came home. And so this went on, but, whatever, and got out of that toxic relationship, and I'm finally like back on my own, and I'm getting back on track, and I'm eating better because I'm by myself, all these different things. And so I just, got myself under control enough. And then last year, I went on a trip, and I came back, and sure enough, sick. And it got so bad so quickly that I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't feel my legs. Like I actually would push on my leg, like I'd push on it, and I couldn't feel it. I could walk, but I couldn't feel, like it was like all of the skin was numb or something. It was very weird. Huge respiratory issues, sinus, ears, dizzy, constant buzzing in my ear. Gosh, it was awful. My hair was falling out. It was just, I can't even explain. I couldn't be in hot water either, too. That went on for 2 months, too, by the way. Could you imagine 2 months I had to take cold showers because I couldn't be in the hot water? Because when I did, my hand would curl up like this. It almost was like I had MS. Well, luckily I had my doctor, Dr. Jill. She's fabulous. And so luckily this did not go on and on for months and months and months. Instead, it went on for a couple weeks, and it escalated so quickly, and I was able to get into Dr. Jill and find out what was going on. And what I found out was that there's mold. And what mold does is 25% of the population, so 1 out of 4 people have a genetic mutation that does not, you don't methylate properly, you don't detox properly out of your body. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to be the best at explaining it, but there is a really great video, and I might have it posted, and if I don't, I can post it again, of Dr. Jill explaining it, because she went through the exact same thing a year or two before I did. So it's unbelievable what's going on. And if you follow Bulletproof, which is an amazing company, Dave Asprey was studying this forever to find out the information, and he provides some really great products for those of us that have this issue. So what I found out is I'm double heterozygous with a methylfolate mutation. I also have multiple autoimmune issues that are going on, and CIRS, which is chronic immune response syndrome, which basically means your immune system freaks out when anything attacks it, and it overreacts oftentimes, where with somebody else it might not overreact, it might underreact. And so here I find out a whole nother layer of stuff I didn't know before. And I think that's it. I think we've uncovered all that's there. I also found out that could be why, I had miscarriages. So I was excited to find out that the possibility of me being able to have a family one day is still there. And, it just was really having the correct information. But 1 out of 4 people has this. So there's a really good documentary called Moldy, the Moldy movie that Dave Asprey just put out. I highly recommend that as well. But again, I went through a near-death experience, and this time it was more severe. I actually laid in my bed. I couldn't feel my legs. I can't even describe, it felt like my body was so heavy that I couldn't lift anything. It was the weirdest feeling. And I laid there, and I remember, laying in bed, and it was like 2 or 3 in the morning. I cried and cried and cried. I was all by myself. And I remember feeling like, this is it. This is it. I might go right now. This probably is the end. And I thought, what's different than the last time I was really sick? Because I was very scared then too. And I realized in that moment, I thought, I need to face this fear of death. Like it's talked about in Tibetan Buddhism. I've read it in the Book of the Dead. Like the entire process of the Tibetan Book of the Dead is facing death. We all die. We all die. That's life, and we all die, and we die at different times for different reasons, but we all die. And like, I thought, I'm so scared of dying. And this seems so ridiculous because I'm a psychic. I talk to dead people every day. Loved ones who have died and they're in spirit, and I talk to them every day. I know it's not scary when you die. So why am I so scared? What is going on? And so then I thought, okay, I think I need to face this because I might die right now. So I might as well face it. I might as well face the demon and face it head on. And so I did. I actually laid there and I closed my eyes and I thought, okay, what if I die? And I took a really deep breath, and I'll never forget how I felt because I felt extremely peaceful. I thought, gosh, I've had love. I've traveled everywhere. I've, used my gifts. I've written, I've worked, I've achieved a lot. Like I've healed relationships with my family. I thought, it's okay. And as soon as I felt like that, this other wave of energy came over me, and I thought, what if I live? And when I thought that, I thought, you know what? Like, I need to live differently. I do. I need to live differently. And I made it through the night, and I got up the next day, and I got all the information from the testing, and I followed everything that they told me to, and I got totally well. Lost another 20 pounds, so I was like at 145, happy day for me, feeling good. And at the end of fall of last year, I met my soulmate, and I thought, this is unbelievable. Like, I'm still in shock about it, by the way, because I am with the love of my life, and I never thought that would happen. And there's so many blessings that come with that, and including family, and everything's been really good. And so for this past year, I've had this really great year. And, a couple months ago, I thought, gosh, it's really time for me to go back out there and start working with people again. I've never stopped doing readings, but I really wasn't focused on it 100%. And I'm like, I'd really like to go back to really helping people full time with my life and being able to give back what I've been given, and to somehow take all this information I have about my health, and not just the physical health, but the emotional health, how to deal with the trauma and drama. How do I take all this stuff I've figured out and the things I've made through and support other people? And so that's why I'm doing this video. That's why I'm on Mile High Radio. That's why, I'm back out there, because this is the time now. I feel like I need to be out there on the front lines, like some of these other incredible healers, helping people who are dealing with mold and fungus, helping people who are dealing with traumatic health issues, helping people who are in toxic relationships and struggling, and people who just flat out aren't happy. Like, how do we get to happy? You can do it. And so I put myself out there, and I've been really busy, and it's been awesome, and I've been working with all these awesome people. And then 2 weeks ago, I got sick, and it has spiraled into sick. So here I am today, sitting here getting ready to do a handle holiday stress video, and I thought, I need to talk about what's going on right now with me, which is I'm sick because I'm susceptible to getting sick because I have a weak immune system. And is it a big deal? Probably not. But I've been sick for 2 weeks where, an average person might be sick for 3 days. I'm on antibiotics, antifungals, charcoal, glutathione, other detox support, infrared sauna, all these vitamins to get over a sinus infection and an ear infection. And I found myself the last couple of days feeling pretty hopeless, feeling like, man, I feel hopeless. I feel like I'm never going to get well. My whole life's going to be battling illness, and I'm so tired of it. And then I realized something. I need to go back to that moment where I decided to live and to take care of myself. I need to go back to that place. And so that's what I'm doing with you right now. Right now, we're going back there right now. And, the reality is that I am in a loving, supportive relationship. And for the first time in my life, I was able to say out loud, I think I need to manage my diet better and my health better. And I'm going to help you and support you with that. And I feel like I'm in an environment where I can take care of myself. And I had to ask myself, why have I let it slide? Why am I eating sugary stuff? Because gluten-free isn't calorie or sugar-free, right? So I love gluten-free pastries and stuff, but why am I overdoing it? Why have I stopped exercising so much? Why have I let things slip? And again, it's because I take on too much and I focus on everybody else and I don't focus on myself. And so why did I get sick? Because I got to focus on myself again. And the universe is saying you have to have a balance between the two. So I'm right there alongside with you in the trenches, figuring out how to have a balanced, healthy life with a life. How do you do all these things? And I'm going to help you step by step because I'm going to have to help myself step by step. So I'm going to tell y'all, number one, your diet is the most important thing in your life. What you put in your body is what is supporting your body. We don't eat to live. We live to eat. And those are two very different things. You got to put healthy stuff. You have to have nutrient-rich things. You have to have folate-rich foods. You have to have foods that are organic and grass-fed and free of folic acid and free of all those awful, awful chemicals. And I'm going to show you guys throughout 2018 how to cook some of that stuff. I went to culinary school. I'm certified in nutritional cooking, and I've become an expert at cooking really good food that's free of sugar and wheat and dairy and all that stuff. And I have little kids that I feed, and they eat it too. They love it so much. So that's what's even more amazing is it's not scary, healthy food. It's really good, wholesome food. It starts with your diet, and I had to do a gut check last week when I was really sick and couldn't even get out, I couldn't even talk. I couldn't have done this video and say, wow, what am I putting in my body? Am I supporting myself to get healthy and well, or am I still sick? And, I had to pull out my supplement routine and say, what have I been lazy on taking that probably I need to take, and there's 100,000 pieces of information about supplements, and I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to get too much into it. But what I am going to say is Dave Asprey talks about in his Bulletproof book, he talks about how important it is to stay away from multivitamins and to stick to what you actually need. So the best thing you could do is ask your doctor to test your vitamin deficiencies and see, are you missing vitamin C? Are you missing B12? What are you missing? And take that. Take C and D and B, but take them each as separate supplements, not all mixed together. Most of those multivitamins have folic acid in them, which is really unhealthy. But in addition to supporting your immune system and supporting yourself with diet, you have to have exercise. You have to have time to meditate. And the question we all have is, how the heck do I have time for any of this? And I'm with you. I work with clients. I have family stuff. I'm social. Then on top of that, I'm supposed to exercise, meditate. I have to do extra meditations because I have practices that I follow for my spiritual work. Where do we do all this? And we're going to figure it out together. I know that there's a solution. I also know that they say, if you take that time for yourself, it actually is going to put you in a position where you have the strength and the courage and the fortitude to do things even more. So if I take a walk in nature for an hour and a half in the mornings, I feel good the rest of the day, and I really am more productive, and I really can do more things. So how do I work that in? Because that time supports me to be able to do all the things I need to do. So that's where I'm at. So when you talk about handling holiday stress, there's a little blurb of a video that I put on YouTube yesterday about that, and it is good and it is helpful. But I think what I wanted to share with all of you today is really the struggle is real, and it's also okay. Life is suffering, but it's how we react to the suffering. And I was sitting in misery earlier today, feeling hopeless that like I'm going to be sick forever. And I thought, but I know I'm not. And I've picked myself up from way worse things before. And what I need to do instead of feeling sorry for myself is get online and tell everybody my story and say, don't feel sorry for yourself. You can lose weight. You can get healthy. You can get out of toxic relationships. You can be well. You can be happy. You can find your soulmate. It's all on you. So when you come to me and you get a reading and you ask, am I ever going to meet the one, or am I ever going to be happy, or am I ever going to be healthy, or how do I lose weight? I'm going to give you information that's, important for you. But the message is always going to be the same. It's about you. It's about the action that you take in your life to be healthy. And it's possible. And the information is out there. There's so much information. And, there's people like me that have been through it that can help others. And there's amazing doctors and specialists and Dave from Bulletproof and all these great people who are out there spreading this information so that people can get well. It's possible. And so that's what I'm sharing. That's my message today. That's my focus today. That was what this video was all about, is just to share some of my journey. There's so many stories interwoven in that, and those will come eventually. But what I really wanted to share today is that, there are things that our bodies are burdened by and challenged with, but those burdens are directly linked to the spiritual, to the holistic, to the metaphysical, and it comes from inside ourselves. What our self-worth is, what our self-esteem is, how we are able to take care of ourselves, what are our priorities, and we got to get them straight. And I think 2018 is the year to break patterns. Like I've written that in my newsletter. That's the focus for 2018, is compassion and breaking patterns. And in doing that, we're going to get well, and we're going to do it together, and we're going to be happy, and we're going to be healthy. And I expect to see, all of the people that are in my network and my soul community are going to continue to propel themselves forward next year, so we can continue to be healthier and healthier in such a toxic world. Because there's always going to be toxicities in relationships, in terrorism, in government, in our daily lives, at work, whatever it is. There's going to be toxicity. But if we can keep ourselves free of toxicity internally, if we can clear the emotional, destructive emotions, if we can, clear out our baggage, if we can clear out the physical issues, we are going to be in such a better place and so strong to be able to handle whatever is thrown our way. And so the message today is that there is hope for you to be healthy, to live in vitality, to be in complete balance, and to be healthy. And I am here to help you on your journey. I'm here to help you get there. And I can't wait to see where we're going to go in 2018. So have a great Thursday. Have a great weekend. I'm signing off. I will be at the Goddess Isis bookstore on Saturday. Tomorrow I will be in bed to prepare and rest so that I am where I need to be on Saturday. And we have a tarot class Saturday morning. If you want to join, the details will be posted probably tomorrow night. And that's a free class, just an introduction to tarot reading, because we're going to have a tarot class ongoing in 2018. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great, great Thursday. And this has been Spirited Radio, and I'm Lisa Marie.